Nobody talks about this part. Nobody talks about how simple something can seem in your head, but in reality, it's totally different. That's because things are different in theory than they are in practice. They're a lot easier in theory, they're a lot simpler in theory, but in practice, things are so much harder. And this is something that I've been able to deal with over the years because I've been pursuing music, and I've been living the entrepreneurial lifestyle for over a decade now. So this is something that is not new to me, but it's something that as an entrepreneur, you just become tougher skin, you become more accustomed to it, you have good days with it and bad days with it. But I remember, like, first starting out, it could plummet your emotions, it could really make you feel really hopeless or really sad or really insecure or inadequate. But that's because everything is easier in theory but harder in practice. What's up? I'm Jamai. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Manifesting Stardom. You already know, as I work through my faith, as I work through my career, I introduce you guys and I talk to you about the things that I'm going through. And so I wanted to talk about that because I heard somebody say it so eloquently, that everything is easier in theory but harder in practice. And that's like a saying I know that's been that's probably really old, and people have said it many ways, but the way that was articulated in that moment, it really was inspiring for me. So I got my 3 points of what I think can help us understand and not be so discouraged by the concept, or not be so discouraged that, like, we had a vision, God showed us a vision, God showed us a plan, but then when we pursued it, it wasn't as easy, or it wasn't as simple, or God didn't include all the other variables that end up playing into me meeting that goal or getting to that stage in my life. And, like, at the end of the day, theory doesn't require resistance. Like, theory, all the vision needs is just the vision. Where the resistance comes in is when you're actually trying to make it happen, when you're actually pursuing it. When you see, when you go past a construction site and they're building these new beautiful homes, it might be a landscape of just dirt and holes and sand, the piles of dirt and big construction trucks. But the picture, it shows this beautiful condo building that they have plastered out on the side of the lot. It's beautiful condo buildings. They got the greenery and the grass and the dogs walking and people in the park, because the vision doesn't include all of the foundational work that is required to get that final product. So that's why God gives us the vision, but we don't ever see the work that comes behind it. And it's so much easier to judge people from a TV screen, or even just from not living their lives, and be like, oh, they should have did this, or they should have did that, or they ain't do this, or they stop, because you're not in their shoes and you're not pursuing what they're pursuing. So that's why it's so much easier in theory. That's why they say 2020 is hindsight, because when you look back at something, you can see clearer. Or when you're out of a scenario, you can give the best advice to somebody else in their situation, because you're not in it and you can see clearly. But when you in it, you can't see that clearly. And so in your mind, there's no pressure, there's no fear, there's no fatigue. But in real life, you're faced with all of the emotions, the distractions, the resistance that comes when you're actually pursuing a dream. That's why it's like, people start businesses and it just seems so easy. It just, oh, cool. Like, that's like me. I just recently started the bartending service. I have been trying to, in my mind, make my business be a business that, one, doesn't replace my main businesses, my music and my singing telegrams, but also it's a business that runs in a more relaxed state. In other words, I'm not branding myself as a bartender and all the different spaces I go, this is a thing where it's like, if it's an opportunity to make some extra cash, then an opportunity, cool. But I'm not actively making this my main income and my main business, because whenever you're trying to create a business from scratch and you are wanted to be consistently profitable and scale, you are going to you're going to be faced with so many different obstacles. And so what happens is, a lot of times we start a thing and we stop that thing because we ran against some obstacles to get it up and running, or scale it, or to make it profitable or whatever. So then we go to another business, and then we go to another business, and then we go to another business. But the reality is, no matter what you choose, you're really just choosing your heart. Whether you want to be an artist, whether you want to be a lawyer, whether you want to be a teacher, whether you want to create a cleaning service, start a delivering service, a landscaper, you're going to meet your heart in whatever your pursuit is. So know that that is what you really want to do, or what you love enough to endure it. As an artist, as a musician, as a singer, I'm continuing to pursue it because it's a part of my identity, and because I know that that is what God has destined me to be. But if you ask most artists, the only thing they might like about being an artist is, some people might love performing. Like me, I'm an artist that everything I do, if all I had to do until the day I die was perform, I would be happy every night on stage. Some artists love to create and songwrite, or some artists love to just play their instruments. But amongst all of the things about our artistry that we love, we're surrounded with a bunch of things that we don't love. Creating content, editing videos, business relationships, money, investment, taxes, real life, family, practice. There's so many aspects of the thing that you would love that has things attached to it that you don't love. And so that's why it's easier in theory and harder in practice, because we love to see Beyonce and Mike on stage, but we have no idea how long that sound check was that day, or have no idea how much money they had to pay to get the effect on stage that they have with the lights, or how much they had to argue with their label and their creative team, or how hard it was. So many different aspects of that final product that makes it look like it's easier. That makes it easier in theory, but harder in practice. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why it's like, the difficulty that you feel, the pushback that you give, or that you get, that's not always a sign that you're off track. That's proof that you've entered into a real arena. Like, you've entered into it being the reality. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants a bestseller book, but don't nobody want to go through 30 or 40 edits or drafts of their book. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want to keep spending hours and hours and hours on different drafts to get a book that's worthy of being a bestseller. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful in theory, but it's hard as heck in practice. And the scripture that I have for that is Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. You're not just executing the task, you're fighting the internal battles, the internal insecurities, the internal misconceptions of what you thought that it was going to be. You know what I mean? That's why it feels heavier. That's why it is heavier. That's why it's harder. That's why it's not as simple. And in reality, we work hard for things to look simple. We work hard, and we love to see a master pianist or organist play the organ and it just looks so simple. That's what we love. We love to see singers effortlessly hit soaring high notes and transition from their falsetto to their chest voice and just make it look so seamless, like they ain't break a sweat. We love that, but that's because they put in so much time and so much work to make that happen. And harder doesn't mean wrong. It means untested. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that you're not on the right path. It just means that it's you're untested. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why when I brought up the examples of the different businesses, I made sure when I started the bartending business, that it would really be a business that doesn't have to be forefront, and that the opportunities that come from it are opportunities that came to me that I can do effortlessly. Like, oh, I've added another skill to my repertoire. I have a bartender mobile business. So when opportunities come, I can just lift my hand up and make that money, as opposed to creating the opportunities, because I wanted to make sure the business doesn't take away from my other businesses that I do. But I look at it like this: if there is an event, or if there is a wedding, or if there is a some kind of private event, right, and I can't get in the door on the stage, if I can't make money as the performer, but I can make money as the bartender, and I can still network and meet these people and make connections or whatever, why not do it? Because the arena, the opportunity of making money from the music aspect, that door is not open. But there's another opportunity that can fall in your lap, and you can make money another way. And you made money. Now of course, for me with the bartending, it's not being an artist, but I'm still able to meet people. I'm able to show my charisma. I'm able to make connections. I'm able to do and serve and just give and be a light to people in some way. And anybody that got any wisdom or knows anything about business, is that alone is a benefit. It can benefit me in my music career. And so it took me some years of maturing to realize that, how you meet people, you meet them as a bartender, but based on how you present yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, the energy that you can create a friendship, a relationship, opportunity, and turn that into an opportunity for your music. You know what I'm saying? Or not. But now you just made a great connection that can help you in it's just so many different ways it could go. But if I'm shut off to only getting in this door this one way as an artist, then I missed it all together. You know what I'm saying? And so that's also something that, from an internal space, that you have to decide how else you want to be perceived, how else you want to do things, and what are you willing to sacrifice to get where you want to get. It's a lot of things I'm not willing to sacrifice. It's a lot of things that I'm not willing to do for opportunities. So this was one thing that I felt like it was a gnat. It was one thing that I felt like I was able to do. This is one thing I feel like I'm able to do. Still be myself. Still have my dignity. Still present myself in a way that I want to present myself. And make opportunities of it, and make money from it. And so I've learned as an entrepreneur that the best investment you can do is to invest in yourself. The more skills you acquire, the more earning potential you have. You know what I'm saying? The more you learn, and the more you're able to add as an asset to your person, whether it be a skill, a degree, a trade, or whatever, that opens the opportunity for you to make more money. Whenever this skill is not making money, another skill can make money for you. And so with all that, bundled up and all that, that just lets it goes that, like, it can be hard, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It could be pushing you into another way to be more creative, because everything is easier in theory than it is in practice. And so a lot of people quit because reality doesn't match the vision, but they misunderstand the vision. They misunderstand some things. And the vision was never, the vision was never the test. The vision was the end goal. The vision is where you want to be. The vision is where you want to end up in life. But the execution is the test. That is what is going to get you where you want to get to, is how you execute it, how creative you are. What is your bandwidth and your tenacity level to attain those goals? You know what I'm saying? And it can feel harder than expected, because it's like You have to be very disciplined. You have to really work towards something. And the scripture for that is Habakkuk 2:3. It says, though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come. Denzel Washington always say, if you hang around a barbershop long enough, eventually you're going to get a haircut. You know what I'm saying? If you keep putting out your content, if you keep working on your skills, if you keep working on your business, if you keep working and getting better at something, eventually your time is going to come. Because every every loss you take is a lesson. You learn something else. And every time the more you learn, the closer you are to gearing that, oh, that won't work, that doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, this, and you get closer and closer to what does work. And through the way that God works, the way that life works, is at the right time, at the right moment, you'll have the right level of skill for the opportunity where the luck will meet you, and then it's up and it's stuck. You know what I'm saying? I have here that the difference between amateurs and professionals is amateurs get discouraged when things get harder than when things are harder than they expected. But professionals expect for adversity. We expect for some kind of pushback, and we keep going. That's why I'm able to that's why I'm able to say, like, oh, I can start this extra business and I know what that entails. So I'm not going all in with my business in terms of, I want to create all different kinds of content with the bartending business. I want to do all these different things. No, I'm adding a skill to my person. I'm setting up the business so that when if the opportunities come, I'm able to just be like, oh, I have that skill. I can maximize that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Because in theory, as a professional, you have to expect for it to be some kind of slow season, some kind of resistance to get to the level you want to get to. So set your expectations properly and do the work that's required. You know what I'm saying? So like the gap you feel is the identity being formed. It is the, like I said, the work and the time meeting at the right time. Your profession and your skill and your tenacity meeting the right opportunity so that you can step right in. You know what I mean? And the scripture for that is James 1:22. Be doers of the word and not just hearsayers. It's not about what you do. It's not about knowing what to do. It's about doing. It's about doing it when it's uncomfortable. I have right here, doing it when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, and unclear. A lot of that has to do with expecting things to be uncomfortable, being okay with things being uncomfortable, and accepting that in order to get where you want to get to, things are going to be uncomfortable. Like, okay, this is the vision, and I'm going to let this vision motivate me because in the process of pursuing this vision, I know I'm going to get adversity. I know I'm going to be misunderstood. I know that there's going to be moments of loneliness. I know that I don't know everything that I need to know. So I'm just going to start and learn. The path will illuminate itself as I pursue it. And so, it's going to be harder than you think it would. It's going to take longer than you think it should. You're going to see people getting opportunities that you don't think deserve it. You're going to see people that you don't think are as talented as you, or you go through all those different things. But the reality is, if you want to be a master at playing an instrument, it's way harder when you start practicing every day. It's way harder. It's just way harder. And that's for everything. But once you accept that, once you realize that, it creates a space in your mind to allow yourself to make mistakes and allow yourself to not give up. So just remember, everything is easier in theory than it is in practice. And once you accept that, you are opening yourself up to endless opportunities. When I started playing guitar, I told myself that I'm going to practice for a year and see what happens. And if I ain't good enough in a year, then I'll give up. But I didn't start practicing guitar saying I want to perform with my guitar next week. I want to be able to. I was telling myself actually that I'm never going to play I told myself when I first started playing guitar, I was like, I'm gonna practice and I'm never gonna let nobody know. And then when I'm famous, and I've been famous for years, and then I'm at the Super Bowl, then I'm gonna just break out and do a guitar solo, and they're gonna be like, we never knew he played guitar. That's how extreme I was thinking that I would be. And that, of course, it wasn't a good idea, and it didn't go that way, because I actually needed to perform playing, practicing. But for a while, for maybe the first year and a half to 2 years, I played guitar. I never posted about it. I never performed, because the goal was to just really, really be good, but to not expect for it to happen overnight. So I was allowing myself to not have the public pressure of thinking that I can play, by hiding it from people, so that I can grow and grow and learn in private, and with my own, with no pressures, like with no expectations. So, in theory, that was a bad idea, but the inspiration behind it is simple. Like, don't put pressure on yourself, and and expect for things to happen overnight. And when you don't expect for things to happen overnight, you allow yourself to grow naturally and without pressure, and you allow yourself to be liberated and free. So just keep pushing. Just understand and accept and respect that things are always going to be harder in practice than they are in theory. So let's keep it moving. Another thing, that's like this dang on YouTube channel. I've been doing this since every day of 2026. I released a video, and I'll be scrambling. Because in theory, it's easy to say I'm gonna do a video every day. It is not easy to do a video every day, to release a video every day, or release a video that's authentic and genuine, or just period. It's not easy. It's not easy. But I knew that it wouldn't be easy. And so even the level of not easy that I thought it would be is actually harder than that. So it's all a part of the game, man. So you already know. That's my spill for the day. I'll see y'all tomorrow.